Hello, world. Welcome to the 8th episode of the Half Hour Genius Hour. Today, the title of our show is Beyond the Four Walls. I think that's what I called it.
Yes, classroom beyond the classroom, beyond the four walls of the classroom.
Yes. Because today we're going to talk about how you can extend your classroom beyond just the four walls that surround you every day, and how you can have your kids go home and be fully engaged from home, which is what, gosh, if we can teach our kids at home as well as in the classroom, we're getting so much more done. Would you agree?
Yes.
So today, we are honored to have Irvine's very own, what is your title? You have a very interesting title.
It's online coordinator or coordinator of online learning. Both of those will work. But
Coordinator of online learning.
Yes.
Okay. Raquel Nedden, is that how you say your last name?
That's right. It's Raquel Nedden.
Okay. So Raquel is probably our best viewer of the Half Hour Genius Hour. She watches every week, I think, and she asks questions of our guests, and I think she just loves the show. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your background first?
Absolutely. So this is my 25th year in education. January 4th was my anniversary, actually. And my journey through online education started about 10 years ago with a grant from Governor Gray Davis to start building AP online courses for high school students. It was a part of the University of Santa Cruz extension. And that began my journey in the world of distance learning. So this format is actually very comfortable for me. So I spent many years in this web conference type environment with students and administrators and colleagues. So this is a very natural way for me to conduct business education.
Yeah. And as you can see, she's a pro. Look at her microphone that she has on today.
Oh gosh, this is like old school. This is old.
She's going to do some Janet Jackson karaoke in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so what does that mean? Everything that you said, what does that mean for us? Because and then I have another follow-up question to that. What does that mean for us in Irvine?
Well, extending the classroom beyond the walls is really about erasing boundaries. And when I first got involved with online education, what I noticed right away, the benefits of that, is that it was erasing the boundaries of time and space. So students could learn anywhere, anytime, when they were ready to learn. And it's that old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. They were able to log on and do the lessons when they wanted to at their convenience, in an environment that was comfortable for them, whether it be at Starbucks, at home, on one of their mobile devices, wherever they were ready to learn. And then the other variable that's being erased is the barrier of geography. So in the program that I was involved in, students did not have access to certain AP courses at their school. So they wanted to take AP physics, but there wasn't a section offered. There wasn't enough students to have a teacher for that section. So we would offer it statewide through this online program. So no longer was geography or the school that they were assigned to an issue, and no longer was time an issue. It was just an amazing transformation of education that I saw through blended and distance education.
That's so interesting. And we have some of that's what you do here in Irvine. So tell us how that is impacting the students of Irvine.
So what we've done this past year is we've developed a blended learning pilot program. So currently we have 6 courses running through San Joaquin High School. We're running under an 80-20 model right now. So the students are approximately 80% online, and then once a week they come in person for a collaborative group activity, for their test proctoring, for class discussions, group work, all those wonderful things that we want them to do. And the rest they do on their own schedule. So we're having students with impacted schedules who may be in need of credit recovery, who want to take a class that's not offered at their school, and it's been phenomenal. We're getting a great success rate. Students are passing, progressing through the course. It's a wonderful experience so far.
They are so cool, you guys. And I mean, really, how many of you even knew this existed in Irvine? Probably a lot of teachers probably don't even know, or parents even. So how can we find out more information about this if somebody wanted to be take part in these things? Who is it available to?
Well, it's by counselor referral. So the students have the option of going through their counselor. We do have a blended learning catalog that they have. It's small right now, but it's growing. Our main focus for this coming year is developing our language programs. So we are right now in Canvas building French, Korean, Latin.
Wow.
The first levels, yes. And if someone doesn't think languages can be done online, they absolutely can. And Canvas has fantastic fantastic tools for speaking requirements for students and for that live collaboration.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, we're going to kind of try to connect that to what you're doing in your classrooms and give you some ideas on how you can incorporate those into the lessons that you're doing already. But I wanted to give you some background as to what we're doing and, you know, how Raquel got here. And so let's move forward.
That's
okay?
right. Okay, so I want to introduce you to a tool today called Canvas Collaborations. And it's a very underutilized tool in Canvas, but it's very powerful as well. So really, what do we want them to do? We want to try students to connect to the content outside of the classroom walls. So beyond the school day, we want them reaching out to each other and working in groups. And we also want to drive students to the LMS. So if a teacher is using Canvas, how do we get them there outside of the school day and not just have them forget about it? So one...
Hey, Raquel,
Yes.
sorry for interrupting, but what would you say to a teacher that's not using Canvas yet?
Well, a good place to start is just try to post weekly announcements. So start posting homework there. Start playing around with the announcements tool and see if you can get kind of a routine going, and then have students log in. For the first few times, have them log in during class time to make sure they know where to go and how to access it. And then start driving them there. Start referring them there. Oh, did you see the Canvas announcement? And start talking it up. And little by little, your students will start participating.
Yeah, and I will tell you that I was in a 4th grade classroom this morning, and the teacher didn't even have a Canvas site set up. They had one that the district provided, but it wasn't even published. So we got the kids on Chromebooks, and we had them log into Instructure and go to that teacher's site, but it wasn't even published yet. So we just published it, and we started a discussion right there without even having any kind of fancy designs or splashy homepage. Kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade teachers, are you listening? We just pushed publish and had a discussion right there on the spot with having nothing set up in the site already. And it was incredible.
Awesome.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, start simple. That's my advice. Start simple. Start with a discussion. Start with an announcement. Start maybe taking that homework sheet that you send home every week, or that weekly newsletter, and putting that in Canvas and having the parents see it. Just things that you normally do in the classroom every day can be put online very easily. And I'll be happy to come out to a site and do a training. I love to do that. I love to promote Canvas. Yeah. All right, so what we'd like to do with Canvas is encourage that safe classroom space. And one of the tools that we can use is Canvas Collaborations. So all of our students have a Google account. They all have Google accounts for education. Some of them may have not logged in, but they all have access to that. So if you're a teacher that uses that already, that's fantastic, because this will just be an add-on to it. If you haven't explored it, it might be a good time to explore it and see if you'd like to get your students interested in using Google Docs. So I want to show you what it looks like in Canvas. I'm going to do a little screen share here. So this is a typical Canvas page, and you see the tabs on the left-hand side. You'll see their syllabus, their announcements, grades, some things. But I want to point you to this one right here, which is Canvas Collaborations. And it looks like this. So the students will see just the name of a document. This is a very good tool if you would like students to do group projects outside of the classroom environment. You can see what they're doing. It's a very safe environment. They all have their Google Docs. You'll be able to check in on it so the teacher has full access to what they're doing, and you'll be able to sign groups as well. All right, so to set it up, what you want to do is you want to start a new collaboration, and notice it gives you a little disclaimer. So you need to have a Google account in order to participate in the collaborations. So if you haven't done that, you might have to do some back work leading into this before it actually takes place. Then you name your document. So this is going to be our group number 1. I'm going to well, I'm going to put my students into groups and I want them to work on the Google Doc with their group project. Okay, then all your students are already listed in Canvas for you. Aries communicates with Canvas. So before the school year, as soon as the school year starts, you have all your students listed there. So they're going to appear down here. And I'm going to invite Eric Schulman to my Google Doc. And then guess what? I can hit start collaborating.
Yeah, don't invite Alyssa Honeycutt. She's a troublemaker.
So immediately it takes me to my Google Doc. So what I have here is I have a place for the teacher either to maybe put a template, they can assign roles to students, they can have a format, maybe they want them to do a small research project or create a presentation for the class, and they're able to share here. So I can put instructions, I can put whatever I like here. Now the students will get a notification that they've been invited to the Google Doc, and they're able to see in real time the other students' work. So they can both be working at the same time in this environment to create a group project. And the teacher can also drop in anytime and say, hey, that group's doing really well. You know, they've got some organization there. They've got their roles set up correctly. And then maybe another group that maybe needs some help, that needs to do some more work. Yep.
That's the Beth Andrews group.
No. So their collaborations appear here. You can list them by group, and only the students that are in that group will have access to it. So a little bit of privacy there. So you see the group numbers, and they can do their projects, and then at some point maybe have a showcase of them, and the teacher can they can present it to the class what they've done.
Awesome. And the ownership rights are to you as the teacher. You own the doc.
Correct. So it's always in my Google Docs. So I have a special folder for them. And then it will be in the students' Google Docs as well. And you can always delete it too.
When it creates the doc, does it put it anywhere in particular or just in your main drive?
It throws it in my main drive. So I've got to organize it. Yeah. So if you use Google Drive extensively, you'll know that you need to set up lots of folders, or else it'll just kind of throw everything in there. So it puts it in your main one. Yeah.
Will it affect it though if you move it?
You know what? I haven't tried that. So I would think that it wouldn't, but you never know. I know you can edit it. So I can either add or delete group members if I have a change in enrollment or change in roster. I can also delete it, and it'll ask me delete it just from Canvas or delete it also from my Google Docs. So it gives me kind of levels to do that. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Because we know we have a lot of teachers out in the district that are using Google Classroom, and this is a great way for you to integrate your GAFE accounts into Canvas. Great way.
Exactly. And if you're already doing that, it'll be an easy procedure. And if not, you may have to do some back work just to make sure all your students are set up with their GAFE accounts. So one thing about blended learning that we were working on is when students are online, we want to make sure that they don't feel isolated. So they're all working on their computers at home, but they want that connectivity. So Canvas Collaborations is a great way to do that. They can reach out to each other. They can share among their classmates, and they don't have that feeling of isolation. That is one report that I have heard in online classes that don't have collaboration features. So we're encouraging all our blended learning teachers to do a collaboration project this semester.
Yeah, gosh, that's fantastic, because like right now I'm in a master's program and we're using Canvas, and we don't use that. The way that we talk to each other is through discussions. Like it's pretty common for a college course to have you post a discussion question answer and then respond to two classmates, right? That's pretty typical for what we do. But this is a great way for you to actually interact with your classmates that are in there, because otherwise you never see them. You don't know that they even exist.
Exactly. So just to remove that feeling of isolation that happens with online courses on occasion, and to get that synchronous nature in. So there's two components. The asynchronous is like the discussion where you have to keep checking back, and did somebody post, and should I respond? And it's not happening in real time. But we're finding a promising practice in blended learning is that the students want that collaboration. They're asking for it. And this produces that real-time collaboration that they can do. They say, hey, let's get online at 6 o'clock and we'll meet and we'll work on our group project, and they can form those study groups outside of the classroom.
And that's magic, you guys. That's magic. Not only for you to break down the walls of your classroom, but to actually have your kids meeting like outside of class. And I know from my own experience with my daughters who are in college and high school right now, that they go and they have to do projects with, other classmates and go to their houses and stuff. But what do you do with a fifth grader? You can't, it's not that easy because they don't drive. But to have them be able to collaborate with classmates at 6 o'clock at night, that's magic right there. Really think about it.
Exactly. It's very common with college students, but this brings it to a whole new level, and they're able to do this. And then there's teacher supervision too. So the teacher can look anytime at their doc and see what's going on and get updates. And it's a very safe environment to do that, which of course we want for our students.
Some people might not be familiar. You used a word blended and blended learning. And can you explain that a little bit for some of our viewers?
Sure. And blended learning is anything that combines online coursework with in-person activities. And there's all kinds of levels for that. There's a whole continuum. So it's anything from, hey, let me post a link online and you can go home and view this video tonight before our lecture tomorrow, all the way to classes like we're doing, where we have 80% of the instruction online and 20% in person. So blended is anywhere in between. So you don't have to, say, gosh, do I have to have a full course to do this? Absolutely not. You can have just a simple test review online, or maybe a video that you've pulled in that you would like the students to see before your lesson. So it's also called flipped teaching as well in some respects, but blended is probably a better word if you're just constantly combining your content.
Yeah, and I don't want to sit here and preach to you guys because you're watching this wonderful show, but if you think that this isn't the direction that education is moving, then you're missing the boat. Truly, you're missing a big opportunity to really impact your kids if you're only trying to teach them during school time. Really.
Exactly. And the statistics are showing, the research is showing that blended learning is growing and growing. My own daughter is in college, and it is very natural for her to go online. Oh, my teacher wants us to do this online and then this in person. It's very natural. So right as of now, the latest statistics coming out show that 1 out of every 4 college students is taking a class online at some point, which is amazing. And the completion rates are very similar. So usually there's about an 80% completion rate for college classes after drops and all that, and the online classes are similar. So one of our goals in IUSD is to have this blended learning experience be very similar, to run parallel with an in-person class. So we don't want these drastically different experiences. So for example, our chemistry teacher has been doing the lab reports through Canvas collaborations. It's the same lab report she does with her in-person students, exactly the same, just in a different format.
Awesome. Okay, so can you give us some more tips? Like, what can we do in our classrooms?
Exactly. So the first thing I would try is, if you haven't set up your Canvas account, to start playing with it. So start with an announcement, maybe put a message there, a weekly note to students, and then try to add some content. Try to add a link, try to add maybe a discussion post that you would like the students to do and have them log in. And if you feel really adventurous, I can come out to your site and show you how to build a quiz. Some teachers have been using them like as exit slips. They have to do these small quizzes before they leave the classroom. And what's so awesome about that? Well, 2 things. No grading. Canvas will grade it for you. It's you don't have to collect 36 slips of paper, right? And they get immediate feedback. They know exactly how they're doing in the class because of the instant feedback.
Yeah, and for all you Google fanatics out there, you know that when you create a form, it doesn't grade it for you unless you run that Flubaroo script, right?
Right.
Canvas, it's just, you set it all up, it's done for you, and it has a grade book embedded into the system. So come on, man.
Exactly. There's so many benefits. I just want to tell you how wonderful it is. So
Yeah.
I would be happy to come out to your site and do whatever you like. You want to post a discussion, post announcements. A lot of teachers want to make their pages look nice, so it's not just a blank screen. So I'm willing to help with any of that, and I'd love to come out and train at your site.
We have a few viewers out there, and I wanted to remind you, if you ever have a question, you should be able to type in the Q&A thing. I don't know, is it over here?
Yes, I just activated it. I don't know if it wasn't maybe activated before, but I
Yeah.
just did. So if you have a question or comment, just go ahead and type it in. And
Yeah, and if you don't, you
yeah,
can always email me during the show, and I will absolutely read it and get it answered for you. Or you can, you can, if you have one after the show, even you can email either one of us, right? Because one thing that everybody that comes on the show has in common, they all love to help and share, and they're so willing to share their knowledge with anybody that's willing to listen, especially Irvine people, and which is what this show is all about, you know. Okay, can you show us some other features in Canvas that maybe our teachers can use?
Yes. Okay. So something called Canvas conferences. Our blended learning teachers are are doing this right now, and I just want to give you a little preview of what it's about. So this is a web conference right here that we're doing, Google Hangouts. But Canvas has its own protected web conference system. So some of our teachers have been using it for tutoring. Okay, so for example, our chemistry teacher. Chemistry is a class that if we left students on their own, they would need a lot of tutoring. So they
Mm-hmm.
not only have the online content, but they need lots of support in between their in-person days. So
Yeah,
our,
let me interrupt
oh,
you for 1 second too.
sure, sure.
For those of you that do like mystery Skypes and Google Hangouts, the one thing about those is they're not on secure networks. So you got to be careful when you're doing stuff like that, just for the safety of the children involved with this. So that's why we would recommend something like this. Okay. All right, go ahead.
No, I agree. So Canvas does have conferences, and it's like a web conference environment, and it has a whiteboard, and our teachers have been using it for tutoring. And another feature that you might want to take a look at is the outcomes feature. So with the outcomes feature, you're able to create rubrics for your assignments, and they go directly into the gradebook. It's absolutely
Yeah.
wonderful. So one of
And there's standards in there now.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, there's standards
Mhm.
too. So you can base it on the standards, or you can create your own rubric. So if you've had a
Yeah.
rubric that
Will
you've
you
been
share your
using,
screen?
yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Let's check
so
these
let me
things out. You're gonna
see.
love these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me see if I can share my screen here, and I'll show you some course rubrics. Okay, so this is one of our blended learning courses, and what we've done here is we've created a series of rubrics. So this one happens to be for our discussion. So if a student posts a discussion, what do we want from them? Okay, we want all the components of the discussion to be posted during their initial post. We want to check for the understanding and the depth of the concepts. Did they apply it to the lectures and readings? And did they participate? Did they collaborate with their classmates? So we developed this rubric here. And when we attach it to the assignment, all the teacher has to do is click on the points. They say, wow, they get 5 points for their requirements. They get 3 for their participation, maybe 4 for their understanding, and it goes directly into the gradebook. So it's a
Yeah.
tool that we've used. And what's so nice is that we can share it. So if one teacher creates it, we can share that rubric. We can carry it over from course to course. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every semester. Canvas is one of those things where you do the work once and you'll have lots of payoffs.
Yeah. Will you show them how you got there? How you got this?
Yeah, absolutely. So on your side tab, you have your outcomes, and you have your manage rubrics here, and you can add a new rubric just like this. Now this one says some rubric, so I'm going to call it my practice assignment. And then you can add your criteria. So what is it that you want from this assignment? Do you want them to, are there certain standards that you're looking for? If it's a research project, are you looking for certain items that you mark for? If it's grammar, are you looking for certain grammar points? You can add your criteria here. Whoops, and we can just put writing. You can add your marks. So this one I'm going to put on a 5-point scale. And then I'm going to create my rubric. So it can be as simple or elaborate as you want. And if you've had rubrics that you've been using for years and years, you can input those just like they are. If they've been working for you, say, gosh, this really works. I'd just like to use this in my online assignments. Let me put them in here. We can certainly transfer those, and you can create the rubric and you're good to go.
That's awesome. Hey, do you know if you know, on the web conferencing in there, can you screencast that and then like use it as a flip video by any chance?
You know what? We haven't so far, only because we've been using another program called Office Mix for our flip teaching. You can record it, however, and it saves the recording for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a free program. We do have to be careful with that because of FERPA. So I haven't used that tool as of now. I've been encouraging teachers to use Office Mix for their flip teaching.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I haven't recorded it, but there are a lot of ways to do it live like that.
Okay, so like Office Mix. If you guys don't know about Office Mix, it's Chris Linville's favorite app on the planet.
We're gonna have to do a show just on Office Mix.
We should, yeah. I'll get him on here and we'll talk about it. But if you don't,
absolutely.
you can Google it now and check it out. But if you use a lot of PowerPoints with your teaching, it's a great way to just jazz those up and use them as flip teaching, tools. So.
Oh, we're gonna have to do a session on that. It is fantastic, and it's just PowerPoint one step further than PowerPoint. So if you already know how to do that, you're there. You're there, and you can take it one more level and do Office Mix. It's a great way to flip your teaching and extend the classroom beyond the walls, beyond the 4 walls.
Beyond the 4 walls.
Beyond the 4 walls. That's right.
Can you believe, like, it's already been half an hour? That went by so fast.
It did.
It goes by so fast. Any parting words for you, like for teachers? Because really, teachers out there, this is something that you have to really start thinking about if you're not already doing it. And if you're already doing it, bravo to you. And we applaud you and we pat you on the back and way to go. But, if you're not really thinking beyond the scope of your 4 walls, you need to really start thinking about it. And this wonderful district has given you the tools to do something like this and be successful at it in a safe environment for your kids. So if you're not already on Canvas, please get on Canvas, start utilizing your GAFE accounts with your kids and really jump on board with this.
And my advice is just get started. Start with something very simple. Start by trying to post an announcement on your announcements page. Start by posting a discussion. Just do one small thing. And you do something once with Canvas, and guess what? You can copy it over for the next semester and you have it. You can share it with your department, with other teachers. Hey, let's have everyone create one quiz this year. And as soon as you know it, you have 5, you have 10, you have 20, and it just builds and builds and builds.
Yes. That's great advice. That's great advice. What is like next on the horizon, you think?
Well, our blended learning program is expanding.
It's bigger already.
Yep, it's getting bigger. We had a successful pilot year, so next year I don't think we can call it a pilot anymore. So we'll be in full force. Mainly high school classes, but we had some middle school classes. We had students taking French online this year,
Wow.
And the results have been wonderful. Yes.
Wow, that's great.
I know. It's awesome.
I'd like to learn French. Can I just take one of these classes myself?
I know, they're great. The sky's the limit with online education, and it's amazing how it's transformed the higher education at the university level. And I think just now it's coming into the high schools and even lower, the middle schools as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's all we have for you this week on the Half Hour Genius Hour, episode number 8. We are still efforting to get Stan and Cassie on here. They keep having to change their crazy schedule, so it's postponed for a while. I'll let you know when it's going to happen. And in the future, like if there's any kind of show that you want to see, please just email me and let me know, and I'll go track down some guests, and we'll have a great talk for another half hour.
Office Mix.
Oh yeah. Well, I know. I haven't even done an ed tech show yet, but we got to do an ed tech show soon too.
Exactly. Okay. All right, Darren.
Raquel, thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.